Today I want to talk about a game called Perfect Vermin. On the surface, it's a simple horror game where you smash monsters disguised as everyday office furniture. But that description barely scratches what it actually is about, because Perfect Vermin is about something much worse. In less than 20 minutes, it manages to tell a story about death, regret, and the fear of being forgotten. A story hidden beneath grotesque imagery, strange symbolism, and one of the most unsettling uses of body horror I've seen in an indie game. Let's step into the elevator and go down a floor and see what Perfect Vermin is really trying to tell us. We arrive at a wooden door next to a red sign. Walking up to the door reveals a prompt telling us how to interact with it. Naturally, you'd expect the door to open, but the moment you click, a sledgehammer comes down, busting the door into pieces. The game sets up that this isn't a peaceful exploration of an office space. Our character is on a mission that's about to leave a path of destruction. Inside of the office, something's wrong. Take for example this scene right here. You enter the break room. Why are there two fridges? The one against the wall makes sense. The other feels misplaced. Walking up to the other fridge and destroying it reveals something gross and unsettling. A groan is heard, and a pulsing mass of flesh sits within the fridge. Suddenly, the objective of the game becomes clear. There are imposters here, and it's our job to find and destroy them all. A counter in the corner of the screen tracks how many remain. After clearing out the rest of the floor, a middle-aged reporter appears on our screen. He's really aggressive and impatient. We're told to stop wasting time, return to the elevator, and to try again. His behavior may seem strange at this point, but by the end of the game, his actions will take on a much darker meaning. Getting back into the elevator leads to the next floor. The reporter appears once more, telling us to do things once again, but better this time. A timer also appears, giving us only a minute and a half to hunt down the imitators. The man's words are strange, describing the office rooms as chambers that need cleansing, telling us to not let them spread, and that they hide poorly. The next floor introduces a slightly different layout, and if you've been paying close attention, you may have noticed something disturbing. The reporter's fingernails have begun turning black. His nose is bleeding as well. Whatever is happening to him is rapidly getting worse. Destroying the last mimic here reveals a horrifying sight. The reporter is hunched over his desk, his body covered in these purple and red pustules. Blood pours from his nose, and half his face has become heavily bruised. He mentions that we took longer than expected, and we need to work faster because even more of the rooms are now contaminated. The next floor is where things fall further apart. The reporter reveals that the office has become warped and uncooperative. A few seconds later, we see exactly what he means. The entire layout of the office has been flipped upside down, and now we must traverse the ceiling to continue our task. As soon as the last one is destroyed, the reporter appears once more. His face is bloodier than before. He doesn't say a single word. He doesn't yell. He won't even look at us. He just sits there, hunched over his desk crying. The only words he manages to say are just, "Go." The door opens, white noise flashes the screen, and what we see next is the most disturbing part yet. The reporter is now hunched over and not moving, his head deformed, eyes bulging outward and covered in tumorous growths. Blood drips down his face and onto the table below. We see through two different viewpoints on two separate floors. Our movement shared among the two views, so going forward in one goes forward in the other one. This is probably the hardest level in the game, since our time limit stays the same at 90 seconds. But now, we must hunt down twice as many creatures. The entire time during this level, the man continues to say nothing, and just lingers in our view. The last object destroyed flashes our screen in static, and we're immediately met with an open elevator door. The room we walk into is the same from the beginning of the game, but now it's covered in a cyclical pattern of those red signs. The music has become a chaotic cacophony of noise, and hitting the door reveals a terrifying sight. The man no longer looks anything like a person, just a mass of tumors, mouths, and gore now sit on the table. His body pulses, and it begins to speak. For the first time in the game, the man stops talking about the building or how we're doing. Instead, he talks about his mother. He tells us they became estranged, that he spent most of his life trying to avoid becoming like her. Yet despite everything, he ended up just like her, even dying like she did, twisted by desire. He informs us why he's been so hateful towards what we've been doing. Our task has always been an impossible one. By this point, the environment no longer resembles a workplace at all. The rooms are twisted into an impossible architecture defying all logic. He tells us that the timer has never been about us. Instead, it's for him as he's getting close to death. And for him, the beauty and simplicity of life will be forgotten. The timer runs out, the screen cuts to black. He says only one thing. We're trapped in a long red, pulsing hallway. Cystic pustules sit on fleshy doors in front of us, and the only way to move forward is by destroying them. At the very end of the hallway sits an elevator. As we approach it, we suddenly wake up in the middle of a doctor's office. I'll talk more about this room when we go over the symbolism in the next section of video. Now we pick back up at a doctor's office. For the first time in the game, we get a glimpse into the life of the man we've been watching slowly fall apart. A doctor, though he can't be seen, walks in and has devastating news to share. We learn that the reporter's name is Mr. Spitz. Before the doctor can finish speaking, however, Mr. Spitz interrupts him. A severe accident has occurred downtown, and he insists it needs to be reported on immediately. The doctor cuts the man off mid-sentence and delivers the awful news. It's what the hospital staff had feared. The man has cancer. It's spread throughout his body. His pancreas, liver, lungs, and even his bones have been compromised. Yet rather than focusing on his diagnosis, Mr. Spitz remains fixated on his work and tells the doctor that treatment can wait. His reporting work is more important. When the doctor warns that he'll likely die within the next few months and tells him to get his affairs in order, Mr. Spitz responds with something showing his obsession for fame and glory, that no one will care about his death if he doesn't prove to them that he lived in the first place. This conversation is key to understanding Perfect Vermin's symbolism, and now we can begin putting everything together. The first piece of symbolism is also the most obvious. The creatures we've been destroying in the game aren't just random monsters. They represent the cancer cells spreading throughout Spitz, with the office space itself representing his body. Suddenly, many of Spitz's early comments begin to make sense. He describes the office rooms as contaminated chambers, urges us to cleanse them before the infection spreads, and as the spreading continues, he becomes increasingly agitated and desperate for us to act faster before things worsen. The timer we've been seeing isn't for us. It represents the time that Spitz has left to live. Viewed through his eyes, we aren't a person at all. We're a treatment attempting to remove the cancer spreading throughout his body. We go around and destroy the mutating cells, but while searching for them, we've been destroying the normal healthy parts of the body as well. The warping of the workplace represents not only the damage the cancer has done to him, but also the toll that treatment is having on his body. Sadly, certain cancer treatments can have negative side effects. Treatments like chemotherapy can cause hair loss. It also isn't unheard of for someone to lose their nails or suffer weight loss and fatigue. Even with these side effects, these treatments can drastically improve a patient's chances of living. But it also can take commitment to change habits to improve a treatment's success as well. Throughout the entire game, which I haven't mentioned till now, there has been a huge emphasis on Spitz's smoking habit. The red sign at the beginning of the game can now clearly be interpreted as a no smoking sign. Earlier, during each scene of the news station, An ashtray can be seen sitting next to Spitz, and as he mutates further, the cigarettes in the tray continue to multiply. Rather than prioritizing treatment, he focuses solely on his job and continues to heavily smoke. The cigarettes serve as a visual reminder that even as his condition worsened, Spitz continued engaging in the habits that helped put him in this situation. While we're desperately trying to remove the cancer, he has continued to feed into addiction, and a continuous smoking habit not only increases the risk associated with cancer, but also complicates treatment. Lastly, I want to talk about one of the deeper themes of the game, and that is Spitz's inability to accept his death. While Perfect Vermin is filled with symbolism relating to cancer, I think the game also has a heavy focus on the rejection of one's mortality. The man we've been seeing the entire game has spent all of his time trying to outrun his eventual death. His focus on work, recognition, and proving his worth is more important to him than confronting his diagnosis. This idea makes the game resonate beyond the computer screen. How many of us have experienced tragedy, heartbreak, stress, or loss, and haven't looked for some distraction instead of facing these feelings head on? For Spitz, no amount of effort can truly stop the timer from reaching zero. The story he wanted to cover, the fame he sought to achieve, ultimately couldn't buy him any extra time. That's what makes his final words so tragic. Even after spending the game refusing to confront his mortality, all he can say in the end is, "If only I had more time." In my eyes, the tragedy of Perfect Vermin is that instead of spending what little time he had left living, Spitz spent it trying to justify his existence. The game is a haunting yet fascinating look into obsession, grief, and mortality. Its remarkable use of visceral body horror isn't just shocking, it reflects the slow, unavoidable breakdown of a man unable to accept what's happening to him. In the end, what lingers isn't the monsters or the mutation the man goes through. It's the realization that grief is complicated and time will always keep moving forward, whether we're ready for it or not. Thank you all for watching, and have a terrifyingly great day.